Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, entitled as Devotional Service. So, the middle six chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are completely dedicated to the essence of the message, and that is Bhakti Yoga. And chapter number 12 is the last in that series. But of course, the Bhakti Yoga, the fragrance of Bhakti Yoga permeates through the entire Bhagavad Gita. But these six chapters are entirely exclusively dedicated to this topmost yoga system. Although chapter 12 is the shortest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, it contains essential wisdom which warms the heart of the listener. Entitled Devotional Service, this chapter discusses the path of devotion, the stages one may undergo to achieve it, and the qualities of the devotee who has perfected it. God essentially means the supreme controller. But in this chapter, we gain insight into the more cherished aspects of God's personality and the disposition of the devotee who is fully in love with Him. So let us begin. Text number 1, chapter number 12 of the sacred Bhagavad Gita. So just like many other chapters, this chapter also begins with a question asked by Arjuna. And it is such a relevant question. This theme has been discussed earlier, but Arjuna brings it up once again. As we have discussed earlier, Arjuna is representing all of us. So what is going on in Arjuna's mind is something that happens with all of us also. Text 1. Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yukta Ye Bhaktas Tvam Paryupasate Ye Chapyaksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittamaha. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested, the formless aspect? And so many of us have had this question, whether God is formless or does He have a form? Now let us directly ask the person himself. There are three ways of acquiring knowledge. The first one is known as Pratyaksha Pramana, or direct sense perception. Utilizing our senses, we try and figure out the truth. But the major defect with this method is that our senses are imperfect. Every human being is born with 4 defects, and one of them is imperfect senses. So with imperfect senses, whatever we try and figure out will not be perfect. So then there is second method, alright, which is called Anumana Pramana, guesswork. We start guessing, oh, it might be like this, it might have been like this. So this method is even more unreliable. In the first method, at least there was some probability, some percentage could be right. But in the second method, we are just guessing. Therefore, the third method is most perfect, which is known as Shabda Pramana. That means hearing from the right authority. So who is the supreme authority? God Himself. So let us find out from Him whether He is formless or does He have a form. What does He have to say about it? Text 2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Vishamano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayo Petas Te Me Yuktatama Mataha. Now who could be the better source of knowledge about God than God Himself? And here He's speaking. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Once and for all, Krishna has cleared this concept. He is saying that those who worship his transcendental form are considered by him to be the topmost, to be most perfect. So we have already discussed there are three levels of realization of God. Just like there are three ways to understand the sun: the sunlight, the sun globe, and the sun god sitting inside the sun globe, who is looking after the affairs of the sun planet. Similarly, understanding the formless aspect of God is the lowest realization. Just like understanding the sunlight is some realization of the sun god, but it is not complete. Higher than that is the Paramatma feature of the Lord, where we know him as situated in every living entity's heart as Paramatma, the super soul, which is like realization of the sun globe. But sun globe or the sun planet cannot act on its own. There is a person who is looking after everything, and that is the sun god, Suryadev, we call him. So, therefore, the highest realization of God is also as a person who is looking after everything, and he is the source of even Paramatma, the super soul, and the formless aspect as well. Just like Suryadev is the source of the sunlight, it is not the other way around. Form is the source of formlessness, and not formlessness. Not that formlessness leads to a form. Just like bulb is the source of light, light is not the source of bulb. And here Krishna has clarified forever that those who worship his form, they are considered to be the topmost. What about those who worship his formless aspect then? Krishna says, text number 3 and 4, Ye tva aksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutastham achalatruvam sanniyamyendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite ratah. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, just listen to the words that Krishna is using here to describe the worship of his formless aspect. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that is not even manifest, so it is very difficult to relate with him, that aspect of his, the formless aspect. Those who worship fully the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, so it can't be perceived with the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth. So many difficult words to describe his formless aspect or worship of his formless aspect, just to discourage us from that path. By controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. So you have to focus on the words that he has used in the entire verse, or these two verses, and not the last three words, at last achieve me. Look at how difficult this path is. The reason he's explaining it in great detail is that it is so difficult so that we don't pursue this path. It is very, very difficult to achieve success in this. Control of the mind, senses, equality towards everyone, equanimity in all circumstances, and plus this formless aspect is beyond the senses. So how can you ever perceive it? It is unmanifested. We need a form to relate with, to develop a relationship with. So Krishna discourages us, and therefore he describes this in great detail. He continues for the text 5. Klesho adiktarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta higatar dukkham dehavadvir avapyate. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal, formless feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. How can you develop a relationship with somebody whom we can't even see. You see, if formlessness was so important, Krishna would have spoken about it, but we see whenever he speaks, gives his message, he is describing it in his form. Whenever he performs his pastimes, he comes in his sweet form. He has already explained that in 4th chapter that he appears in his transcendental, unchanging form every time he incarnates in this world. So whatever the Lord has done has been done in his form. So where does this formless come into picture? Nowhere. So we have to be intelligent enough and not be sentimental about it. Krishna himself is saying that worship of his form is the supreme. And it is very difficult to make progress on the path of worship of formless aspect, because we are embodied beings. We need somebody to relate with. We can't just meditate on nothing. That is foolishness. So we have to focus our mind on the beautiful, most attractive form of the Lord to make progress. And that is the real meditation. Meditation on the breath, meditation on bulb, meditation on nothing. This is simply foolishness going on, cheating going on in the name of religion, and we must stay away from this. So, for those who are attached to formless aspect, troublesome is the progress. But what about those who worship his form, engaged in his devotional service? Text 6 and 7. Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparah ananyaneva yogena mam dhyayant upasate teshamaham samudharata mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha maya veshita chetasam. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me. Me means Krishna is standing, he is referring to himself, his form. Having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, what happens to them? For them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Such people are personally taken care of by me. So hope-giving. So, understanding this, he's not saying the same thing to those who are attached to his formless aspect. In the 4th chapter, Krishna has already said, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamiham. As you approach me, I reward you accordingly. So if a person is attached to the formless aspect of God and he thinks that God has no form, so such a person will never see God's form, will never have darshan of the Lord, because that's his bhav, and Krishna reciprocates according to his bhav. Okay, if you think I am without a form, so you will never see my form. But those people who are engaged in his devotional service, meditating on his sweet form, worshipping him, Krishna says, such people I deliver them personally. But he doesn't say the same thing for those who are worshipping his formless aspect. For devotees who are worshipping his form, Krishna says, I become their deliverer personally from the cycle of birth and death. I take care of them. I lift them up from this ocean of birth and death, ocean of misery. And therefore, he encourages Arjuna, text 8, Mayyeva mana adhatsva, May buddhim niveshaya, Nivashyasi Mayyeva, Ata urthvam na samshaya. So through Arjuna, he is encouraging all of us. So just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Thus you will never forget me. You will always be experiencing my grace and my presence in your life. You will live in me means you will never be lost to me. I will never stop thinking of you. Krishna says, if you think of me, I think of you. If you consider me to be formless, you never see my form. If you worship my form, I take care of you personally. I take care of your form, the body and the soul as well. So he says, fix your mind upon me. But we have our minds never in place. So what to do? If we can't fix our mind on Krishna, then will we be never delivered by him? Krishna says, don't worry. Krishna is very, very kind. And therefore, Gita is such a wonderful scripture that it caters to everyone's needs. And especially in this chapter, which is the heart of Krishna, devotional service, this chapter is known as Bhakti Yoga. Krishna encourages everyone to think of him, but somebody who's not able to think of him always, not able to fix his mind because mind is running to 10 different things, Krishna says, don't worry. He's so kind. Uh, Text number 9, he says, Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknosi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. Don't worry, Arjuna. And he's telling all of us, if you cannot fix your mind on me without deviation, then follow the regulatory principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So what are the regulatory principles of Bhakti Yoga? Sadhana part we do chanting of his names, remembering him, worshipping his deity form, associating with devotees, offering prayers. These are the regulatory principles of Bhakti Yoga. That means we follow these principles, and as we follow these principles, we become purified, and then to the degree we are purified, to that very degree we are able to fix our mind on Krishna. And even if that is not possible, Krishna says in text number 10, Abhyase api asamarthvasi mat karmo paramo bhava madartham api karmani kuruvan siddhim avapsisi. And if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, don't worry. Just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Then you can engage in some service to the Lord. There are so many devotees, you can ask them, okay, how can I render some service to the Lord? And you can help them, assist them. They can engage you in service. You can come and clean the temple. You can serve prasadam to the devotees. You can assist the devotees in preaching or expanding the mission of compassion of preaching, connecting people. So that way Krishna says you will come to the perfect stage. Even if that's not possible, in text number 11 Krishna says, Athaitad api asakto asi kartum mad yogamashritah sarva karma phalatyagam tatah kuru yatatmavan. If you can't even do that, if however you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. Then try to use the fruits of your work to serve me. In that way, you become self-situated in the sense that you learn some reasonable amount of detachment, because till we become detached from matter, we can't become attached to spirit, and that is the supreme spirit, especially that is God. So we can become detached from the results of our work, and that way, working in that spirit where we are not affected by the results come, we nullify the reactions of our past karmas, and that helps us advance, evolve in life, where we remain equiposed, unaffected, and that helps us move towards the highest path gradually. It is not the highest, but still this is one step towards that destination, supreme perfection of life. And it will gradually help us get purified of our past karmas as we tolerate the good and bad that comes our way without getting affected. And even if we can't do this, Krishna says in text number 12, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnanat dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalat tyagat shanti anantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Study, hear. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation on my form, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action, by which one can attain peace of mind. As I explained, when we become unaffected or immune to the results of our actions, then we remain peaceful, because whatever good or bad comes, we just accept it. So, but this meditation should not be confused with the meditation which Krishna talks about as the first step, that constantly think of me. So here he specifically refers to the Dhyana Yoga process, meditating on the super soul, which is better than Jnana Yoga. And we have already discussed how in the yoga ladder, higher than Karma Yoga is Jnana Yoga, cultivation of knowledge, higher than that is Dhyana Yoga, and the highest is Bhakti Yoga. So, in any case, in all these different types of processes, some sort of renunciation of the fruits of our action is recommended, or cultivating reasonable amount of detachment. But only the path of Bhakti Yoga is such that we don't have to give up anything, but rather whatever we have we utilize in the Lord's service, in the devotional service, and the Lord then takes charge of such a soul and personally protects him. And now from text number 13 through 20, Krishna will explain the symptoms of one who is actually engaged in his devotional service, and the one who therefore is very dear to him. Who is actually dear to the Lord? Sometimes we also might question ourselves. So Krishna will explain the symptoms of his devotees, and thus he is also conveying a message to all of us that if we want to become dear to him, we have to cultivate all these symptoms, and also conveying that these are the symptoms that we eventually develop when we engage in the Lord's devotional service. So that we shall discuss in the next podcast. Thank you so much.